Welcome back, and here is part 4 why I try to avoid most white people like the plague. If you are white and you're watching this video for educational purposes only and you feel so inclined to pay a black woman for her work, here is my pay information right here at the bottom of the screen. Let's dive in. Here's a top 10 list of things that make white people unbearable to be around. Number 1, people assuming we're only hired due to DEI or because we slept with the big people in charge. It can never be the fact that we are simply qualified to do the job. It always has to be something else. And it's also been proven that the number one beneficiaries of DEI are white women. They're the ones getting the handout. White people are also the number one beneficiaries of government assistance. But I digress. I'll never forget several years ago when I got hired to work at this bank, and I was like, I think the only black person in the handful of branches that they had, and the white women in the locations were losing their mind. And word on the street is that I slept with the owner of all these different branches of the bank. Forget the fact that I had years of managerial experience and already had banking experience. There's always this assumption that we're not really qualified and we're not really smart, which again goes way, way, way back to our enslaved ancestors and it being a crime for us to know how to read or go to school or to be educated in any sort of way. They still very much have that mindset. I still don't think we're educated, even though black women are the most educated demographic of people on the planet. Smarter than they are and more qualified than they are, but although they know this, they'll never admit it out loud. They're just going to hate for the rest of their life. Number 2, they assume that black single moms are all struggling on welfare and live in Section 8 housing. Again, the number one beneficiaries of government assistance are white people. I worked at a jewelry store once, and this white couple came in, and I don't know how we got on the topic of our children, but the man was telling me about his son and how hard he's been on his son. And I'm like, yeah, I've been really hard on my son too, because I know how the world is and I really want him to succeed. And then he looks at me and goes, yeah, I know you have to be hard on him because I know where you live. The hood is really rough, isn't it? I've never lived in the hood in my entire life. Even if I did live in the hood, and I have been friends with people who actually live in the hood, and those black women, let me tell you something, they do everything they gotta do to get the fuck out of there. So they might be there, but it ain't gonna be for long. And white people seem to conveniently forget the fact that the trailer park is the hood too, bitch. Be stealing tires, each other's men, meth labs, whew, the list goes on. So instead of worrying about my money and whether or not I'm struggling, worry about your trailer. Okay, Becky? Worry about the fact that your cousin is your boyfriend and the father of your third child. Number 3 on the list is the performative allyship. I've made a video about this. For those of you who are on YouTube, the video is on my TikTok page. I think I'll post it on YouTube later. But I find it interesting. One of the things I said in that video is it's not the blatantly racist Republican woman that we need to worry about. It's the liberal white woman who wants to prove that she's one of the good ones and she doesn't have a racist bone in her body. The one who screams about black history and racial inequalities and police brutality, while at the same time being the number one fan of Taylor Swift, who's been shown time and time again to not only hang around, but to date racist white people. Everything else is a problem, but I draw the line at Taylor Swift. Those are going to be the ones who say the microaggressive thing. Those are going to be the ones who see your handbag and ask you if you sell drugs in order to be able to afford it. Those are going to be the ones who are going to have a goddamn identity crisis if a black woman is prettier than they are. Those are going to be the motherfuckers who say, I didn't like Kamala Harris because she smiled too much. Those are the ones who will throw you under the entire bus and then smile in your face and ask if you want to hang out at lunch. Number 4, they think being married to or having black children means they're not racist. Julia Michaels, she was one of the coaches on Biggest Loser. She has adopted a daughter from Haiti. And then she's on a talk show denying slavery, saying slavery was 1,000 years ago and only 2% of the population of white people own slaves. She also did not vote for or endorse Kamala Harris. I feel so bad for her daughter, who's going to navigate the world differently from her, and unfortunately is going to have an even harder fall from grace once she sees just how cruel the world is, and it's not going to match up to the things that her mom is telling her. I feel so bad for all the black children being adopted into the I don't see color families. Once they get out into the real world, it's going to be a complete mind fuck for them. Number 5, being asked, no, where are you really from? Because you don't sound like a stereotypical black person. Once again, it's a who taught you how to read type mindset. If a white person asks me that, I know just how pathetic they are. I know that they live under a rock. I know that they have never been out into the real world. And I also know that they only have ever been around people who look like them. And it's so funny because white people don't even speak proper English. White people are not these intelligent beings just walking around on a cloud thinking about mathematical equations and universal theory. It's just one big projection because we can't possibly be more intelligent than they are. We have to be on their level, and we're not, and it pisses them off. Number 6, their mediocrity is rewarded. Just look at white entertainers versus black entertainers. Let's talk about Beyonce here. She can dance, she can sing, she can write, she is a clothing designer, she has a successful hair care line, she has a successful liquor line. She's gotten accolades from Michael Jackson, Barbra Streisand, yet people still say she's not talented. However, a white woman who can't really sing, who cannot dance, and who has none of the things that Beyonce has accomplished outside of music is one of the top entertainers in the world. There's a saying that black women have to try twice as hard to even get half of the way that white people have gotten. That's not true, because look at Beyonce. She's done everything short of walk on water, and she's still not good enough. Number 7, seeing the car I drive, the things I own, and then being invasive and wanting to know what I do for a living because black people can't possibly have nice things. I cannot tell you how many times I've pulled up to events or social gatherings and a white woman saw my car and looked at me like bothered and asked, what do you do for a living? Like it just really pissed them off so bad that I'm not driving a jalopy. That very attitude is what caused the Tulsa massacre. Google it. Mindsets like this is what turned Oscarville into Lake Lanier. Google it. There's a bunch of white people in Arkansas who are trying to build their own only white, no Jewish people allowed type of community. And I think one of the people said something to the effect of, they don't have to live here, they can build their own communities. The funny thing is, black people have. And every time you do, you burn the shit down or bury it underwater. Number 8, only white women are allowed to be victims. Every time a white person is like, girl, you got this, and they're saying that to a black woman, that's just absolving them of any need to help us. The whole, you're a strong black woman idea was created again so they didn't have to worry about us. The idea that we have thicker skin and different blood and we don't feel pain was again created so they didn't have to give a fuck about us. Only white women are allowed to talk about their trauma and horrible things that have happened to them and to need mental health care. Black women just need to suck it up. You just suck it up so we can be strong enough to help everybody else. Number 9, white women think they're white men, but are blind to the fact that they don't have the same privileges. That almost sounds like black men too. But anyway, this video is about white people. White women live under this delusion that supporting Trump somehow benefits them. It doesn't. There's a bunch of crap happening against women in the government right now. The lives of their daughters are at stake as far as being considered adults at the age of 14. Getting rid of no-fault divorces, so they have to be trapped in their cold, dark marriages. They also don't give a fuck about patriarchy and how the world is set up for men, white men, to succeed. They only want equality. They only want a matriarchy if they can be the ones benefiting from it. Which leads me to number 10, only causes that affect them are important to them. It is so annoying to see the things going on in the government, how they're trying to get rid of women's rights and our reproductive rights and our reproductive health. And all these white women are talking about it's like the Handmaid's Tale. It's just like the Handmaid's Tale. Sarah, Black person have been experienced these inequalities and these discriminations and our rights being taken away for hundreds of years. Y'all are the newbies to this shit. So it's not the Handmaid's Tale, it's the shit we've been going through for decades. But again, back to what I mentioned earlier, Black women aren't allowed to be victims. So none of the shit we've gone through mattered. That's why they keep ignoring that and talking about the Handmaid's Tale, which is about white women. So now that they're in a Handmaid's Tale, now they want to protest. Now they want to advocate. Now they want to sit up straight and have a seat at the table. And when they finally get their heads out of their asses and realize that they are the top beneficiaries of DEI, I'm sure they'll protest and get upset about that shit too. Once it finally settles into their brains and they realize that they're the top beneficiaries of government assistance, they'll get upset about that too. But now that they're realizing that all this shit is going to be knocking on their front door, now they give a shit. It's like magic. It's like the saying goes, if you turn a blind eye to injustice, it will show up at your front door. And that is what the fuck is happening now. Anyway, if you liked this series, please let me know in the comment section. I have been fun making it, and I'm glad you've enjoyed it. Bye.